You never really know if a WWE superstar is on their way out or not. A lot of times it feels like WWE tries to play into the social media rumors and the buzz with the dirt sheets, but there is somebody whose contract is ending soon and their contract is up in the air. Their whole future is up in the air. And unfortunately, this is somebody who's been cut by WWE, and with all of these new additions, there is a very good chance that this person does not stick around in WWE, which I really hope is not the case. We're going to have to talk about that. Plus, WWE ID updates and multiple WWE returns. It's all coming up right here on the Ango Show. Okay, first things first, let's talk about WWE ID. Obviously, I've shown a lot of intrigue within the program. There's been a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't know. There's a lot of misconceptions about WWE ID. A lot of people are still trying to figure out whether or not this is good for the indie wrestling scene. A lot of wrestlers believe that it is good for the WWE ID scene. Having these independent wrestlers getting that ability to have a path to WWE is very exciting. But then also at the same time, too, there's a lot of people who believe that this is WWE imposing too much on the indie wrestling scene. And obviously, there's just a lot of different opinions about this. However, Fightful Select is now reporting that there are more names expected to be signed for WWE ID that are likely to be revealed after WrestleMania or around WrestleMania. Now, the reason why this is something I even want to talk about is because of the fact that we have seen so much different speculation on whether this is good or bad. But a lot of wrestlers have come out and said that they actually like this program and they like the fact that they're not forced by WWE, to have WWE's involvement 100% there. It just provides them a pathway. Everybody who knows a little bit about WWE ID and more specifically GCW, we just had Megan Bayne, an AEW wrestler, go up against Zeta Steele, who is a WWE ID talent. And obviously that is a really cool sign that WWE is not controlling who versus who and things of that nature. Obviously, we know that WWE also has the WWE ID Championship belts that have been revealed, and there's a tournament, but we still haven't really seen that play out. And obviously, the reason for that is because that won't be taking place until WrestleMania weekend with GCW and FSW doing the tournament matches. But look, I'm going to be very real here. I think a lot of people don't understand that WWE ID is still a new initiative. There's tons and tons of questions about it. Having new wrestlers being signed to it is something that I think is cool. However, what's the success rate of WWE ID? As of right now, it's zero. We haven't seen anybody actually being given a full-time contract to NXT. It's still in the early phases, but it is something to pay attention to. And that is something that I will be paying attention to for its entire future.
Now would be the best time to remind you that we have a major goal to hit 100,000 subscribers. Over 40% of the viewers who watch this channel are not subscribed. Please click subscribe if you enjoy staying educated on everything with wrestling news.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and that brings us to the WWE returns. Some very sad news if you're a fan of these talents, but it is something that we got to talk about. Ilya Dragunov is one of them, and we got some more to discuss. But let's just be real, okay? Because this is where WWE is very interesting in how they do things with injuries and returns, and obviously sometimes it feels like they're rushing people back. Sometimes it feels like they're not rushing people back. But there are a couple WWE returns that are set to happen, and it doesn't appear to be very soon. Asuka, Ilya Dragunov, and Tonga Loa are expected to return to WWE anytime from June to September. And this is, three different wrestlers who have, a lot of people didn't anticipate these injuries taking up a lot of time, but the reality is they are taking up a lot of time. And I think the biggest shocker is actually Ilya Dragunov. A lot of people thought Ilya Dragunov would be ready to return relatively fast, and that actually wasn't the case. It seems like it's actually happening a lot longer, and now, it kind of sucks. PWN has come out with the report. The approximate date for Ilya Dragunov's return to WWE is September after the summer. Tonga Loa is expected to return in June during the summer, and at some point, Asuka will be ready to return, but it won't be happening until after WrestleMania as well. So Asuka is literally in a position where she isn't set to return for WrestleMania season. Now, PWN, relatively accurate. Ilya Dragunov, Asuka, Tonga Loa, all three of these people are fan favorites to a degree. Obviously, Tonga Loa is part of a tag team with Tama Tonga. There's a lot of story to be told there. Ilya Dragunov coming back, people want to see him and Gunther. And Asuka, look at the women's division right now. It's absolutely heating up. There's a lot of potential, a lot of big storylines there. But you are missing some potential key players for WrestleMania. I don't think when these injuries occurred, that would be the case. But WWE has to evolve. WWE has to adapt. And that's one of the things that makes it so intriguing to me, is that I think WWE and really AEW, I think companies like WWE and AEW actually do relatively good of like being smart to maneuver around this, because a lot of these situations weren't situations where people thought they would be out for a long time. And that's actually the case here. Like, they are out a lot longer than people anticipated. So you have to figure out ways to keep the shows going, even with those injuries. And that brings us to our final topic. And this one really shocks me. Hopefully, we don't get bad news here. Karrion Kross is in his contract year, and his future is reportedly up in the air. Many people in WWE have been very impressed with his ability to gain popularity through social media and to basically keep storylines moving by using social media. This is one of those examples of Karrion Kross may not be the primary subject in every single storyline, but there's things that are happening behind the scenes, and there's things that are happening on TV where Karrion Kross has an influence for it all happening. Now, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, he's reporting that Karrion Kross is nearing the end of his contract, and it is expected that his contract will expire sometime this summer. However, there's no further details on whether or not he is being signed, or whether or not he is signing a new contract, or whether or not WWE has even offered a new contract. Everything is left in the gray, honestly. Like, there is very, very little detail here. But we know that Karrion Kross was brought back in 2022. He is a Triple H guy. You would like to think that perhaps Karrion Kross would be given a new contract. However, there is no talks about this. Now, is Karrion Kross suffering the same fate as Kevin Owens, where it came out, oh, Kevin Owens didn't re-sign, there's no new contract, and then it turns out he actually did sign? That's what I'm hoping for here. I think Karrion Kross is a G. I think he's a stud. I think he's a fantastic in-ring worker. I think he's a great promo. I think he's a great character. I think there is many, many, many more things for this guy to do on WWE television. This is a guy that should be rewarded with a new contract, and I want to see more given to him. I want to see this guy being given the opportunity to really, really come across as a big deal. WWE has handled his return very well, but now it's time to actually do something more with it. So if Karrion Kross is gone from WWE, that's a massive loss, and it really shows that not everybody is safe, because you could even be a Triple H guy, quote-unquote Triple H guy, and then not get re-signed. But at the end of the day, I think Karrion Kross should be given a new contract. I would like to see him re-sign that new contract, and I would like to see them actually put a belt around his waist and do some more stuff with him. But you never know, and that's what makes it so crazy.